Hello everyone, how's it going? Today I'm going to show you guys something pretty cool but a little bit sad. Before getting into the video, I want to thank you guys for the 100 subs. It really means a lot to me. I've had plenty of channels in the past making gaming videos and things like that, and I've never got to 100 subs, so I really appreciate it. Also, I think it was in a short span, only 3 months. So I'm really grateful to you guys. Thank you for being here, and we will be growing in the next years. Now let's get into the video. These are the first 2 crested geckos I have ever made. Yes, they are wet specimens because they did not make it. Now I'm gonna tell you guys why I decided to open the eggs, because I do not support cutting eggs open unless you're 100% sure that they're dead. But I did see a pattern that both of the females that laid these eggs followed. Both of these females were pretty young. They didn't have really high fat reserves. They were in breeding size and they were in breeding age. If not, I would not have paired them up. However, they had never bred before, so they didn't have that experience that 50 or 60 gram females have when they're breeding, and they have had several seasons before and they're like 6 years old, you know? So they were 3-year-old females that were breeding for the first time, and they did not have as much experience as other females had. They both laid 2 eggs, which is good, is normal. But out of those 4 eggs total, because we have 2 females, 2 eggs each, out of those 4 eggs, 1 of each female was not fertile right off the bat. The eggs started to develop, and by day 7 I could see the ring. Also, they were developing really slow. Usually when a female lays eggs, you can see the ring the first day they're laid. For these 2 females, it took me about a week to see the ring. So that is not the most normal thing. Also, all of these 4 eggs were not visually normal. Usually not all crested gecko eggs are the same. However, these 4 eggs that I saw did have some noticeable abnormalities. The 2 eggs from one female were very, very small, and then the other 2 eggs from a different female were just really long. It was quite the opposite. They were really long and very thin, and they also had some kind of like calcium deficiency or something like that. It can happen when they are new females that they don't know how to properly do the eggs, and that is probably what happened. Also, all of these 4 eggs were incubated at around 72 to 74 degrees Fahrenheit. We keep our house at 73, 74, usually more on the 74 side. I like it warmer. I'm Spanish. We have warmer temperatures, so I'm more used to that, I guess. And also, I think my pets appreciate the warmth a little bit more than the cold side, so we keep it at 72, 74. Sometimes it gets to 70 and sometimes to 75, but it's most of the time to 72, 74. And at these temperatures, usually more on the side of the 74, the eggs should be hatching in 75 to 85 days. Both of these eggs were already about 100 days old. So I was 100% sure that at these stages of development, the embryo was dead. The embryo was not moving at all when I was candling it, so I was pretty sure that the eggs were not gonna make it. It is true that I could have waited a few more weeks, maybe something would have changed, but I don't think with these specific eggs anything could have changed. It was day 100. They were both not gonna make it. They were really small, and I'm gonna show you guys how I did the process of opening it and how these 2 guys look like. There is one that is bigger and is the younger one, and there is one that is smaller, and it is the 110-day-old. I think it's pretty cool, but at the same time I was a little bit heartbroken when I realized that it was dead. When I did the incision, I saw that there was like a lot of really thick powdery yolk, which would indicate that there is some kind of mold or bacteria in it. The yolk isn't supposed to be that thick. It is usually a bit more runny. It was really thick at this point. Also, the surrounding parts of the egg were a little bit infested with mold. So I was thinking that maybe it got inside of the egg, maybe the embryo died and mold managed to get inside or something like that. I did had my hopes up with that second egg. I thought that it was gonna make it, but it didn't, and it's okay, it happens. She is still breeding. I have 4 more eggs from that one female and 2 more eggs from that other female. So hopefully they're gonna make it this time. And then I have 2 eggs that should be hatching in about a week or 2. So pretty excited about those, and hopefully I'll be making a video of how pretty my new babies are. After opening the eggs, I noticed that the embryos were way smaller than I thought they would be. I thought that the whole dark part of the egg would be the embryo, but it is not just that. The whole dark part of the egg is also the veins. I thought the embryo was gonna be bigger after candling it, but apparently it wasn't. So I was kind of confused after opening the egg, because I did see the whole developed face of one of them a few weeks ago, but then it stopped developing. So I don't know. I was pretty sad, but at the same time, it is something cool to see, and at least it'll be with me forever. I also want to add that I'm not gonna be cutting any more eggs in the future. I wanna be 100% sure that they're not gonna make it. I was 99% sure that they're not gonna make it, but maybe if I left them more time, they could have made it. It is true that by 110 days, the eggs should be way more full than they were, and the embryos should not be that size. They should be a normal crested gecko, especially incubating it at 74 degrees. There's people that incubate at 60 degrees and the eggs hatch in 120 days. So this gives you an estimate idea. The estimate time frame is if you incubate at 80 degrees, you're gonna hatch in 60 days, and if you incubate at 60 degrees, you're gonna hatch in 120 days. And I've had some people tell me that incubating at 75 degrees hatches at 75 days or so. So I was hoping for the 75 to 85 day mark. After that time passed, I was kind of confused, and I gave it a few more weeks, and then I realized that the embryos were not moving, they were not developing, so I decided to cut the eggs open. Nevertheless, I am not gonna do this again. I am just gonna wait for them to even rot if they have to. So just to make sure, 100% sure that it's not gonna hatch. So since I wanted to remember them for a long time, I decided to fill this up with some alcohol. I'll probably move them from here. I don't like having both of them together, but I don't have more of these tubes for some reason. So I put them in this tube. I filled it up with 70% ethanol, and I put them in there. Since they're small specimens, you don't need to inject them with alcohol, but if it was a bigger specimen, like maybe an adult crested gecko, you might have to inject it a little bit with a needle and a syringe and inject alcohol in the muscles or veins, or I'm not sure how you do it, maybe under the skin. I'm not sure how you do it. I didn't look this process up because I didn't need to do it here, but I know that you need to inject them with alcohol if they're bigger specimens. The moral of the story here is that things don't always turn out how you want them to. It is okay. It is normal when you're breeding crested geckos that the first female of the season does not lay perfect, healthy eggs. So those eggs are gonna have a harder time making it. It is true that I was really excited about these eggs and I was kindling them a lot, so maybe I killed them. I'm not sure though. The eggs were looking pretty deformed, but maybe me being this excited was what killed them. So I've decided to set some ground rules for myself, and I'm not gonna touch the eggs more than once a week. I like to see the progress and candle the eggs, and I like to make sure that they're healthy. However, if you just wait, they're gonna hatch or not, and they're gonna tell you if they're healthy or not anyways. There's not a lot that you can do when there is a 60 or 50-day-old embryo and you see it moving, but it's not gonna hatch in like a month more or so. There's not a lot that you can do just from the outside by candling, more than just worry. So I'm just letting them be. I'm candling them once or twice a week tops, and that should be the max. I only have 12 eggs right now, so when I have more, I'm gonna stop caring that much about those eggs. But I'm just really excited, and it hurts me that my excitement can potentially hurt my crested geckos. However, I'm not gonna let my excitement do that, so I have set some ground rules for myself. As I said before, I don't think this was the case though. I think the females were just in their first season, so that is probably what happened, and you just have to wait for them to lay again and wait all that time again for them to develop and all those things. Patience is key. We're gonna hatch our first baby soon, so we're really excited about that. And that's pretty much it. I want to make a quick pause to see these images and speculate maybe what more they could have turned out to be, see what the physical characteristics of the crested gecko embryos that we have are, and all those things. The first baby is a small baby, which was at around day 110, probably died at around day 40 or 50. It still has like a big clump of cells on the head, and the arms and legs are really weak and not developed enough. We can see some back pattern on some crests, and with this back pattern I think that this crested gecko was going to be either a flame or a harlequin, given also the pairing, which was a phantom harlequin with a harlequin female. This baby was not really that developed compared to the other one, and it was the first one that I opened and the oldest one that I had. The second one had something that I found really interesting, and are these two masses of cell that are at the preanal or pre-cloacal level, and I believe that these are hemipenes. Hemipenes are basically the penises that male crested geckos have. So I think that this crested gecko was developing its sexual organs, and it was destined to be a male. You can also see that the arms, the legs, the eyes, the head, the jaw, pretty much everything on this crested gecko was almost fully developed, and the only thing that you would need for this crested gecko to be a complete crested gecko would be the skin. You can even see that the tail has that pad that all crested gecko tails have at the very end, which allows them to grab things better, and it is what kind of allows the crested gecko's tail to be semi-prehensile. Now I want to show you guys something pretty cool about a different species but related to the same topic. I was feeding my snake Hydra and I saw that one of the feeder frozen mice that I had was really big, so I decided to cut it open and see what was going on. As I expected, it was a pregnant female, and I saw about 10 to 12 masses of cells and balls, I guess, and then I took them all out and I saw that each of these balls were containing an embryo. I thought it was pretty cool, so I decided to cut it open, and there are a lot of layers, so I'm gonna try to do my best explaining how it is. It is kind of similar to an egg anyways, so I guess mammals and reptiles are not just different. Most reptiles lay the eggs, most mammals just have them inside of them, so it's pretty cool, and I'm going to try to do my best to show you guys how I did it. Also, I'm gonna publish the uncensored video on our Patreon. I'm not sure if Patreon censors it or not, but for only $5 a month, you're gonna be able to see some exclusive content, more on the side of the things that I cannot post on YouTube. Maybe in the future I'll be posting some content that is harder for me to make and that I think should cost at least a few bucks. Going back to the video, we can see that reptiles and mammals are pretty similar. So in this case, the mouse had a lot of balls, and then you open the ball and there was like another ball attached to something. I was wondering what that something was, and I looked it up, and I think it's a placenta. I'm not 100% sure, but each one of these eggs, if you cut it open, there was like another sac attached to a placenta, and then you open the sac and that's where the embryo was. So the embryo was protected by the outer part and then the yolk sac, and then that yolk sac was attached to a placenta, and then inside of the yolk sac is where the embryo was. Also, since I don't like wasting things, I gave the remaining parts of the mouse to my girl Hydra. She ate it with no problems, and then the baby mice, I turned them into wet specimens as well. I'm guessing these embryos were about 2 weeks old, and they had maybe 1 more week, because the female was pretty big. Female mice will not be huge until the 2nd week or so. So I think that this girl was probably about on that 2-week mark. The baby mice were extremely small, so they were not ready to be born. But I found it pretty interesting to see how different or how similar reptiles and mammals are. So I decided to put this comparison of, well, 2 egg opening videos that I did pretty much on the same week. So I found it pretty interesting to do the mice as well. And if you liked it, please let me know. If you like this video, please subscribe. If you find it interesting, comment. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.